What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. In today's episode, we're going to be extending the deep dive series by inviting Salamence. Salamence obtaining the move Outrage based on the Community Day exclusive move has propelled it to a point where this Pokemon has definitely become an interesting conversation, especially from the Dragon typing. Today we'll be talking about it from a PvP perspective, a rating perspective, should you unlock that secondary charge move, and then of course, should you power it up. But anyways, I hope you do enjoy this type of content. If it is helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. First things first, let's go ahead and take a look at Salamence with a max CP of 3,749. Salamence is a dual-type Pokemon of Dragon and Flying type. Statistically speaking, this Pokemon is no slouch. Of course, if you take a look at its best stat being its attack stat, ranked out at 10th in Pokemon Go, its worst stat being its defense stat, ranked out at 177th, with an overall ranking of 31st in Pokemon Go. So besides the actual stats, I thought another main factor we would talk about is, of course, the moveset. And a lot of people have suggested me to provide some moveset gradings, so I went ahead and checked it out on the GamePress website. So these are the moves that you absolutely want to have. So of course, Dragon Tail and Outrage is number one. Draco Meteor is not necessarily that bad of a move, but it does get outpaced by Outrage. And then you may want to consider some type of secondary move such as Fire Blast from a PvP perspective, but we will be talking about that a little bit later on. So I figure the first thing that we would go ahead and dive into, and something that most people will probably want to use Salamence for, is going to be from the raid perspective. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple results. We will be going over two specific examples, the first one being Giratina Origin Form. As you will see, Rayquaza does take the number one spot, but not too far behind it is Salamence, and Salamence being in second is very impressive because it does outpace a lot of other legendaries, and especially it outpaces Dragonite. That's probably a Pokemon that most people will compare it to because of them both being kind of pseudo legendaries, but as you can see, it does outpace it by quite a bit. Other than that, we can go ahead and take a look at the results for Latios. Now, these results are fairly similar. Once again, you see Rayquaza taking on that number one spot, with Salamence once again in second, but in this case, really not by that much of a margin. So something to definitely be excited about between these two Pokemon. I'm fairly confident to say that Salamence is easily the second best Dragon-type Pokemon currently in the game. Maybe if we see some other moveset changes, like with Palkia or Dialga, where they get access to Outrage, maybe they get propelled a little bit further forward. But this is a great budget option from just a general Dragon-type attacker. Of course, if you don't have a ton of rare candies, if you don't have like a full Rayquaza team, this is easily the best budget option, so you want to make sure you take advantage of it on Community Day. And if you did do that, you're definitely going to be proud of it. Hopefully you got yourself a lucky along the way. So I thought a lot of people would be very interested in just a Salamence versus Rayquaza comparison, so you can see why Rayquaza is always outperforming it, especially from just like a raid perspective. But as you can see, they are very close to each other. Ranked 31st and 32nd, technically, Salamence is ranked better overall, but that's mostly because it picks up a lot of points on Rayquaza on the stamina stat. However, of course, if you take a look at the attack stat, you will see that Rayquaza picking up that 284 is too much for Salamence to handle. But as far as a direct comparison goes, I thought a lot of you might want to see that. So as far as the next category is concerned, we needed to go ahead and look at Salamence from a PvP perspective. And I want to go ahead and start with this. Pokemon like Salamence do not typically do well in lower leagues. If you go ahead and check out some rankings related to Ultra League and Great League, you're not going to really see Salamence anywhere. However, once you get up to the Masters League, Salamence finally makes it onto the top 24 according to PokeBattler, and at that number 23 spot. So as far as PvP is concerned, it's not necessarily the best option that you want to go for, but there is at least some discussion to talk about. So as we know, with it being a Dragon/Flying type Pokemon, it is double weak to Ice type Pokemon. So at least something to consider in this case. Instead of using Draco Meteor like the graphics stated, you may want to use Fire Blast. Now hear me out on this though. Fire Blast is unfortunately not the best fire type move that you want to have in the game. And then secondarily, there is a massive Stardust cost to unlocking a secondary charge move for the Salamence family line. Go ahead and check out this screenshot. It's 75,000 Stardust. So as far as the overall recommendations from my point of view for this Pokemon, I would not recommend you to unlock a secondary charge move unless Stardust is not an issue and you really want to get some coverage. That's really the only way I could see that. As far as powering it up, I would absolutely recommend you to do that. It's a great budget Pokemon, especially from like the candy side. You're gonna get so much candy from a community day. I wouldn't see why you would not want to power it up. And then of course, using it from the raid perspective, coming in at second is an amazing feat for a non-legendary Pokemon. And then finally, to finish it off, as far as future value is concerned, do not forget that Salamence actually has a Mega Evolution available to it. So who knows? Maybe we will revisit this in the future with the Mega Rayquaza versus the Mega Salamence. Who knows, it may kind of end up being the same battle once again, that Rayquaza may take the cake on it, but we're definitely going to have to see. But anyways, I hope you did enjoy this video. Hopefully it was helpful. I'm going to go ahead and end this on a question of the day. What do you think about Salamence? Are you going to go ahead and power one up? Definitely let me know in the comments section below, and I will see you next time. I wanted to extend a huge thank you to the supporters over at Patreon. You definitely make this possible, and I 100% appreciate this support. If you are interested in supporting my channel on Patreon, definitely feel free to check out the link in the description.